All right, we're back. As we've been saying the whole dang show here, we got a big Thursday night football game here. We got Cowboys at Lions. Lions are 3-point home favorites. It's a 54.5 point total. It is the highest of the week 14 slate right now. Yeah, I mean, this should be some points. I'm not advising any under bets in this particular game. So Nate, I'm going to just give you the floor here.
Okay.
What do you want to highlight? Because there's a lot of places to go with this game.
Yeah, it's just kind of like you have to the mini seasons of the season kind of thing. I think for both of these teams, I think the Cowboys' run defense has turned from a true laughing stock, like truly one of the worst run defenses I've seen in some time, is now good, outright good since they added Quentin Williams. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has kind of just moved into the right spots. I do think though they're extremely susceptible to passing, especially to the outside, which makes sense if you look at their team and their roster. They've been starting to play Siobhan Ravel a little bit too, but he's a rookie corner and still just working into it. But the Cowboys right now to the on outside targets or any position, just outside targets, 31st in EPA per pass, negative 0.60. So I should say 0.60 EPA allowed per pass attempt to the outside on 153 pass attempts. 0.60 EPA allowed on 153 pass attempts. That is unbelievably high. If you don't even need to know reference, that's a lot. That's more than a half a point per pass attempt to the outside because they just get burned. To the yards per game, 129.2 yards per game to the outside. If you like your more box score stats, dead last in the NFL. 10.1 yards per pass attempt to the outside. And then success rate wise, they allow a 57.5% success rate to targets to the outside. Only the Titans and the Commanders were worse. See, I knew I had a Titan stat in there.
Yeah.
But I bring that all in the weirdest way, though. I feel better about the Cowboys right now than I do the Lions, just as in a real football sense, just of where their offense is at, what the strength of the defense is. I have liked the Lions defense. I think they've just been getting got the last couple of weeks. I still think they're a little bit better than what they've shown, but it has been battered, especially on the back end. And they just kind of have, and they play a certain style that's high risk, especially with all the injuries that they have. And so I do think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I'm excited to see props wise. I liked Lions props because I can just kind of picture how that side of the ball goes. While I think the Cowboys, I'm more curious as a football analyst, football fan, what Schottenheimer and Clayton Adams think is the best way to go against that defense. That's why props-wise, I'm kind of shying away from that side of the ball. But I do like the Cowboys overall more in this game the weirdest way.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, but I feel so much better about just their identity right now as a team, especially, the injuries on defense is just tough for Detroit because I do think their defense has played really well over the course of the season and they are still like a physical, tough group. And if Dak, isn't perfect going over the middle, like he could get got at some point here, which would be, that would be a potential turning point for Detroit in this game. But just I'll get into it in a second, but I think Dallas matches up really well with that secondary in particular. But with the Lions, it's just, again, it comes back to the identity of their team. We talked about it yesterday, but that run game, Nate, like why has their run game not been as, I mean, they've had like explosives with Jahmyr Gibbs, right?
Yeah.
Like he's had these monster games, but at the same time, then their rushing output as a team, it doesn't feel as overwhelming as it once did.
Yeah, everything, and we talked about this yesterday, is that everything on their offense or their main diets of their offense have turned from absolutely elite, some of the best you'll ever see, to more average to above average, not outright bad. And so that's where people are like, what's wrong with this offense? Because it's not like, I mean, I think they scored the second or third most points on offense this year. So it's not like one of these things where it's like, man, this feels awful. It's just like, it doesn't feel right. Is when those easy buttons don't become as easy. And for the Lions, it was pound the frickin' rock in between the tackles. Whenever it gets hard for us, we can run it for 5 yards whenever we want. And that's a real strength to have in the NFL, especially at any level of football, but especially in the NFL. And then the screen game as well has dropped off as well. And again, there's just the tie-ins where those are the main parts of this offense. Those things are just not as venomous. And I think that just has led to more volatility with the offense. And it's because the interior of the offensive line was already taking a step back with Frank Ragnar retiring, but now has faced injuries. And the Penny Sewell is still good. And then on the left side, Decker has been facing injuries as well. So that is the true, and we talked about this again, deja vu moment, but it's when you take the true strength of the team and you just make it pretty good, that matters, because this is the entire basis of this team. The offense was the offensive line, was pounding the rock, was getting these quick hitters to guys. And now that just is just pretty good as opposed to awesome. And that has kind of just made the offense feel just a little tougher this year.
And we're showing the stat on the screen right now that David Montgomery hasn't had like 30% of the team's carries or whatever it was, that like he hasn't been involved this year. And I think it's because, it is. David Montgomery hasn't seen over 30% of the Lions' designed carries since week 10, only played over 50% of the snaps once since in the past 7 weeks. His lack of involvement to me isn't really like, I think Dave Montgomery looks worse this year or anything. Nope. It's just they know they need those monster explosions.
Yes,
like they don't have the team to just be like,
right there,
David, we're putting the ball in your hands, and like you said, we're getting 5-6 yards every single time because we know that we just have that. And that obviously is an offensive line personnel issue. And I hate to say it, I know Lions fans that got like weird with Ben Johnson, the way he left and he's in a divisional team and they're currently in the first division. But a lot of the things that you would think like, hey, you're losing the best play caller in the NFL potentially, and a guy that just had such a good pulse of how to use everybody on this. It just you feel the lack of Ben Johnson on this team. I mean, that shouldn't be a hot take. They demoted the play caller at some point this year. Dan Campbell put himself there. That's not a shock. Like we all know that's a problem, but specifically like with the way that it's been tough to get Jameson Williams rolling at times. Like he's had these 0 catch games. I'd bet quite a lot of money he'd never have a 0 catch game with Ben Johnson there, just with the way that, he knew by the end of his tenure how to use Jameson Williams. Now I think Jameson Williams in this game is basically going to be all they have.
Yes.
I have a, I have a fascination. Yeah, of course. I have a fascination with Isaac Tesla, and I think he's flashed, but is he ready to be like a consistent part of this offense? I don't know about that. He's a project player. So if we don't have St. Brown in this game, and like it seems like we won't. Yeah. What do we expect of these receivers?
Was it Gibbs? Who had the screen touchdown? Was it Jameson Williams against the Bears last week or the Packers last week, where they broke the tackle and then they ran in for the touchdown? On that play, Isaac Tesla misses the block. And Tesla is the perfect encapsulation of what's going on with the Lions offense. He misses the block. That play should have been blown up. And that's, again, was a receiver screen, which is what's been worse this year. It's because of little things like that. And then but he makes the big play and it's great and gets a touchdown and he has so much ability, but it's not as detailed. It's not as kind of efficient. Yeah. It's not as like he's always going to, but that's to be expected. That's why he went where he went. But no, if you just want to look, I just was breaking it down as you're talking. Sorry. If anyone ever curious, if I'm looking to my left, I have a monitor over here. But per game, the Lions are averaging 3 or 4 fewer successful runs per game. And again, those add up over time. But when those are 4 times that you're now able to go like, okay, here's 5 yards. Okay, here's 6 yards. And then same thing with the screens. That's a half dozen, 7, 8 plays. You run 60 plays on offense, give or take 55 to 65 plays. 10% of your plays are now just getting dropped off. That's what leads to kind of these moments. But if you want me to jump into props, I'm just banging on everything with the Lions offense right now. But I'm excited about the Cowboys too and the Cowboys offense. This is going to be a fun matchup. The Haas fight, the Lions D-line, Cowboys offensive line is going to be an absolute fist fight. So get ready for that. Mm-hmm. It's going to be very, very fun. But I mentioned this. So that's why I kind of a little low on Javonte Williams, maybe a little bit because of the run defense. But I like George Pickens' ladders. That's how I put it. I didn't put anyone in there. But just however far you want to go with George Pickens in this game, I think he's the better. I think CD will still have his moments, obviously. But if I had to bet on one, it'd be Pickens because of just what you can get on the outside, injuries, all that stuff, the matchup, single high stuff, all the man stuff, everything. I was
going to say, and Lions play single high at 69% since week 8.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned single high teams a bajillion times on this show so far, but Lions play single high coverage 69%. That's even since week 8. That's again since they've been injured, they've leaned into it almost more because I think they're trying to create some of that chaos there. Kelvin Shepard, I think, a lot of cover 3, and I think Kelvin Shepard actually has a pretty good finger on the pulse of like what I need
I
to do
know.
to create some chaos, even as there's
That's
been
why
injuries.
a couple of weeks ago I was like, he's actually elite. I'm telling you guys, he's elite, and they just get friggin' battered. But I swear,
kind of what happened
happened
to them last year. And then they just get into these berserk game scripts. So
yeah.
Again, those single high moments, and then obviously, George Pickens just, yards per route against single coverage, 3.87 this year, among like high volume receivers that trails only Puka Nacua who is at an obnoxious 4.4. It's just, it's it's a good spot for George Pickens for sure.
Yeah. And even with, and it's not just because I'm saying like, oh, it's going to be a bad game for him. It's also that the Lions against slot, where CD thrives in, they're pretty good against the slot because they'll put Branch there. They have answers. The cover 3 stuff can do that against the slot. So I think it's just, that's why I prefer Pickens as well. So ladders is how I put it. But on the flip side, I mean, just because the Cowboys to outside receivers, to outside targets, I have Jameson Williams 100 yards or over or more for a plus 145. Over longest reception, 27.5 at minus 120. I think Jameson Williams, and also maybe just how the game script goes, but I think he'll be able to eat a little bit, whether it's dig routes, whether it's just go balls, even though Goff doesn't really throw those. I think even over routes they can get them, it's kind of those like little motion things where they'll put them in motion and get them across. I think Jameson Williams, and like you mentioned at the top of the show or top of the segment, who else they got? So it's kind of that's where I think that Williams will be able to get a lot of this. Also, again, game script, also thinking that the run defense is going to be a little bit better than people realize. Jared Goff over 22.5 completions. Just because a lot of zone, can see him peppering a lot of stuff underneath, a lot of stuff just where pressure in his face, pressure in his grill, and he has to check it down real quick because of the interior pressure, the interior weakness of the Lions offensive line. That's the strength now of the Cowboys defense. So I think Goff over 22.5 completions is the way I'd go. And then Goff over a half interception. Same theory. Pressure in his face. Throws one, batted, blah, 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 chaos pick. Kind of the thing where, I know. I could just kind of, I think Goff is going to get some big chunk plays in this game. I think you can do that against the Cowboys, but there's going to be some moments where it's like 3 and out because of pressure, or stuffed run, bad screen, pressure in his face. That's a 3 and out. So I think the Lions are going to get points, but it's going to be an up and down type of day against the Cowboys. And then that's all I got. Can't tell. I'm pretty geeked up for this game because like you said, it's a loser leaves town match. Whoever wins has I would say driver's seat, but a good path to the playoffs, and whoever loses is more or less out. 1 in 6 chance of making the playoffs, which is not exactly really good.
Yeah, Cowboys win this game matters a lot. They jump up to a 42% chance according to The Athletic. If the Lions, on the flip side of it, if they lose this game, they drop down to 12%. So it's basically, it's do or die pretty much for both of these teams. Like the Cowboys want to continue on the run. We got to go ahead here. And then the Lions, they get to play. If they lose this game, they drop down to 12%. Then they play the Rams next week. So not fun. Not fun.
No.
Next 2 weeks here for the Detroit Lions. It's definitely tough. My last prop that I would just mention here real quick, like Jahmyr Gibbs, it's minus 130. So you're giving up a lot there, but over 4.5 catches. I just think he's going to, if Amon-Ra St. Brown does not play, and that feeds into your Jared Goff completions one, which I love going for the completions instead of for the yards. Cause I think there's going to be a lot of dump offs to Gibbs here, getting out of pressure situations, even maybe, using him as an actual motion out, get into the route as the slot guy. Cause I don't know, Tom Kennedy, not really moving the needle as the slot receiver for me. St. Brown, obviously, if he's not there, that's going to be huge. Isaac Tesla, they mostly use as a perimeter player, which is, it's like an inspired idea. But again, I think it's a long-term idea. I'm open to him being a big part of the passing game in 26 and beyond. It's just the plan was not Isaac Tesla running as many routes as Jameson Williams in the Thanksgiving game. And that's what we got because of the injury.
Yeah, he's plus 200 anytime TD scorer. I did look that up for you. I deleted it off the doc, but I did look it up.
Gotta do it.
So if you want, we'll sprinkle there. We'll Tesla sprinkle there.
Listen, folks, we're not professional gamblers. We're not giving you betting advice here. But if you want to just have a little bit of fun, that's it. You got. I know times are tough.
Hop on Twitter.
Yeah, throw a buck at it. Yeah, throw a buck at it. Throw $3 at it. Don't skip your.
No,
you could probably drink a little bit less, whoever you are. Okay, just skip your next beer and beer's a beer's like $10, bro. Like, I mean, you throw $5 at the anytime touchdown for Isaac Tesla. I mean, come on, inflation. It's tough. Anyways, Nate, who wins this game before we get to break? Who do you think wins? You going Cowboys?
I am going Cowboys. The Lions are favored by 3. I think it's going to be a fantastic game, but at the very least, I do think Cowboys cover. I'll put it that way. But I am going to go Cowboys here, even if they're not a complete team yet.
I like it. I think I'm with you there. I'm also going Cowboys here. What could possibly go wrong?